Jim Harbaugh, JJ McCarthy. What a duel those two men have been for Michigan football. Just incredible overall. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about the impact that JJ McCarthy has had for Michigan football. Michigan is currently 6-0 right now and is considered to be one of the best teams in the nation. In fact, the hype for Michigan is skyrocketing as well since Jim Harbaugh just proclaimed JJ McCarthy to be the best quarterback in college football right now. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. Are you sold on Michigan making the college football playoff this season? Absolutely. I predicted Michigan would make the college football playoff before the year started. I still stand by that take. I see no reason to change my mind on that. I did predict that Michigan would finish the season with an undefeated record, and I still continue to stand by that take. Michigan has been dominant in their 6 victories so far, and for the people that are crying about their schedule, I can go ahead and say, who cares who they are playing, because they are blowing out their opponents like they are supposed to be doing. You look at the opponents that they've played so far, and I'm thinking, okay, as long as they take care of business, they're going to win these games comfortably, and that's exactly what Michigan has done. In a sport where you see upsets happen more often than any other sport, it's good to see Michigan football play the way that they're supposed to play. They're winning the games that they're supposed to be playing, and they're taking care of business. And you want to know why they're taking care of business? Because of the fact that their head coach has kept those guys focused. Jim Harbaugh, even though he served a 3-game suspension to start off the season, you know what? He kept his team locked in. He told them, go ahead and listen to your assistant coaches. Go ahead and practice the right way. You work hard. The results are going to take care of themselves on Saturdays. And that's exactly what happened for Michigan during these Saturdays. You look at how they've won their first 6 games in blowout fashion. They've done a really good job of doing what they're supposed to be doing. They were able to blow out East Carolina. Okay, that's what they're supposed to do. And then they go ahead, follow that up by blowing out UNLV. Okay, you're supposed to do that, and that's exactly what they did. And then they played against Bowling Green. That game was a little bit closer than what it should have been, but they still won by 25 points. And even though JJ McCarthy didn't play a great game against Bowling Green, guess what? His team still won the game because of the fact that they were able to run the football and play really good defense. And then they went up against Rutgers, a team that plays in the Big Ten Conference. They took care of business against an in-conference team in Rutgers. Okay, what can you do about that? And then they played against Nebraska. Obviously, Matt Rule is a joke of a head coach, and Nebraska is a joke of a program. But hey, they're playing against a team that is also playing in conference in Big Ten. And guess what? They blew out those guys too. And then they did a great job against Minnesota, where yeah, even though Minnesota's offense is really bad, hey, you can only control the teams that are in the conference, that are in your schedule, and they did exactly that. And to be able to dominate the way that they've had for 6 straight weeks, that's really impressive. Their defense has been fantastic. The offense has been able to run the football, and even though JJ McCarthy hasn't put up great passing numbers, the fact of the matter is he's been winning these games and he's been executing their offense really efficiently. The reason why JJ McCarthy hasn't put up great stats is because they haven't needed him to play great. Because of the fact that Michigan is already up by so many points, they're already taking him out by the 4th quarter, saying, you know what, JJ, we're going to keep you out to the next game because of the fact that we're already up by so many points. We don't need to risk anything and do anything stupid. That's how dominant Michigan football has been. Now, as far as Jim Harbaugh's comments about JJ McCarthy, I find his comments to be rather interesting about it. All right, so according to 24/7 Sports, he said, quote, there's a lot of great quarterbacks around the country, and I hear people talk about how this is maybe one of the best quarterback drafts ever. Sometimes they say that in September, early October, and it doesn't hold up, but I know there are a lot of really good ones. Nobody would rather have than JJ McCarthy. That's the first quote that I have to show to you guys, and honestly, my takeaway from that quote was that's Jim Harbaugh expressing major confidence in JJ McCarthy, and rightfully so, because JJ McCarthy is definitely one of the better quarterbacks in the nation. We talk about guys like Shedeur Sanders, we talk about guys like Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Quinn Ewers. We talk about all these different names, but we don't really talk about JJ McCarthy a whole lot, and honestly, it's because of the fact that we've had a lot of really good college football quarterbacks this season, and guys like JJ McCarthy, who's not putting up great stats, he often gets forgotten about because of the fact that Michigan is winning by a lot of points, so they don't need JJ McCarthy to throw the ball 30-40 times a game to carry Michigan to victory, even though we all know that JJ McCarthy can do that when asked of him. And then Jim Harbaugh says that, quote, I haven't watched all the guys, kind of starting to watch some of the others, but you know, play for play, JJ McCarthy. Maybe I'm a little biased, I'm trying not to be, but I think he's the best one. I really do. Certainly no one we'd rather have. Just so good. And that quote right there just shows the confidence that Jim Harbaugh Harbaugh has in JJ McCarthy, and I agree with Jim Harbaugh 100%. If you're a Michigan fan, you have to be very confident about JJ McCarthy in general. JJ McCarthy is a guy that is extremely accurate with the football. He's shown that he has a strong arm. He's shown that he is poised in the pocket. He's shown that he's a tremendous leader. He's shown that he's tough, and he's shown that he's a perfect representation of what Michigan football is all about. Michigan football is all about running the football and stopping the run and being able to out-tough everybody else. And Michigan is one of the toughest teams in the country. They are one of the most physical teams in the country. When you look at Michigan, they're the number 2 ranked team in the nation, and that didn't happen by accident. It happened because they keep winning all the time. It's not like Michigan all of a sudden became good overnight. They built this thing up from the ground up, and they've been good for a good number of years, and they've been able to put their stamp on the other teams in college football. There's a reason why teams like Ohio State and Penn State, they have to respect them. It's because of the fact that Michigan puts on a winning product year in and year out in college football, especially with the transfer portal and everything like that. It's getting harder and harder to do so, but with what Michigan's doing, just really impressive overall. I've been impressed with their quarterback. I've been impressed with their running backs. I've been impressed with the receivers. The O-line is obviously excellent. Their defense is spectacular. They've done everything that you could have asked out of this football team. If it wasn't for Georgia being dominant, we might be talking about Michigan as the best football team in the country right now. And the only reason why we talk about Georgia the way that we are is because of the fact that Georgia, they're going to end up three-peating this year, because the 4 spots that are going to make the college football playoff this year is going to be Georgia, and Georgia. I'm just kidding with that, but that just shows you how further ahead Georgia is ahead of everybody else. When you talk about the teams below Georgia, I think you have to put Michigan right below Georgia, but outside of Georgia, they're the best team in the nation. That's how good Michigan is. They don't really have any weaknesses whatsoever. JJ McCarthy is one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. I like watching JJ McCarthy play. He's got a little bit of Aaron Rodgers in him. I know a lot of people have compared him to guys like Joe Burrow, and his head coach in the past has even compared him to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I'm not going to go that far with JJ McCarthy, but JJ McCarthy has said himself that he plays like Joe Burrow. Well, I'm telling you guys this. If he plays like Joe Burrow for them late in the year, that's going to make Michigan the most unstoppable team in college football outside of Georgia. We might be seeing a national championship title of Georgia versus Michigan for it. That would be an incredible matchup to see. And then you look at Michigan's remaining schedule, you think about how at worst case they're going to lose 2 games, because you're looking at how they play Indiana, they play at Michigan State, then they get the bye week, then they got Purdue, then they're going up against a ranked Penn State opponent in their place, and then they got to go at Maryland, and then of course you got the game against Ohio State to finish out the year at home. When you look at all these games, they should be able to beat Indiana rather easily. They should be able to dominate against Michigan State. They should be able to beat Purdue rather comfortably. Obviously Penn State, that's going to be a 50-50 game, and then they got to go ahead and beat Maryland. They got 4 cupcake games left in the schedule. They're going to get the 10 wins, worst case scenario. And when you look at Penn State and Ohio State, if they can just split one of those 2 teams, you have to think that they're going to have a pretty good shot at making the college football playoff this year, because they're going to get to play in the Big Ten championship game if that's the case, more likely than not. And they're probably going to go ahead and win the Big Ten championship if that's the case, because if Michigan doesn't win, then it's going to be Ohio State. Or if it's not going to be Ohio State, then it's going to be Penn State. Either way though, Michigan, they're set up for success. I expect them to win all their games. I expect them to beat Penn State. I expect them to beat Ohio State. They're the most physical team in the Big Ten, and I don't expect that trajectory to change whatsoever. Physicality matters in the Big Ten, especially late in the season. If they can continue to get that kind of physicality out of them, then that's going to make Michigan really good, and I expect JJ McCarthy to continue being a really good quarterback in college football. That's what's making me sold about Michigan making the college football playoff. I just really like how they're well-rounded. They beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. They are well-coached. They practice the right way. They play the right amount of effort. They take care of every game like every game is going to be their last game of the season. I like that kind of effort and intensity from Michigan. When you have that effort and intensity in yourself, that means that you are going to be a really good football team, especially late in the season. When that happens, that means you're going to make the college football playoff. So that's why I am sold on Michigan making the college football playoff this season, as they have a good chance to finish the regular season with an undefeated record. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran and that Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.